thing going, it's gonna say 6 o'clock. You ready? Y'all ready? All right. Is it on?
How are you?
Oh, okay. All right. I'd like to call this meeting to order. I'd like to welcome everybody to the February 5th, 2019, official time at 6 o'clock. I need approval of the agenda. I need a motion at this time, please.
So moved, Chairman.
We have a motion. We have a second.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it. It's our pleasure tonight. We've got Mr. Ronnie Henson from the Sunshine Ministry. He's going to start us off with an invocation and pledge.
Stand, please. Sunrise.
Sunrise. What I say? Sunshine?
Yeah, sunshine. Sunrise. That's good, though.
Well, you are our sunshine.
Just
Look,
make
you
sure-
just lit up the room when you walked up there.
Just make sure it's S-O-N.
That's right. Oh.
We tell everybody the S-U-N, they burn you. Anybody know the S-O-N? That's who we take pray to, the S-O-N. Let's go to the Lord in prayer. Father, we just thank you for this day. This is the day that the Lord has made. Your word says that we will rejoice and we will be glad in it, Lord. So, Lord, I thank you, Lord, that your word tells us and teaches us, God, to pray for our leaders. So, Lord, we lift up every official in the government, Lord, starting with Washington, D.C., in the capital, Lord, here in Georgia. And, Lord, we lift up all of our public officials, Lord, here in Jones County. Lord, I am just at awe that we are still able, in a community called Jones County, Georgia, that we are still able to open all of our meetings up in prayer. So, Lord, we thank you, Lord, that you are real and that you have your hands upon our community. So, Lord, I just pray, Lord, for every man and woman that's seated here tonight, Lord, especially those that are in leadership behind me, Lord. Your word tells us, God, too much that's given, much is required. So, Lord, we love you, we bless you, and we honor you. And I just pray, God, for a spirit of peace and oneness in here tonight. Separated from you, Lord, we are lost. We're in a lost, dying world. There's so many bad things going on. But my God, when we walk in the room, we bring that light. And that light is only found in Jesus Christ. So, God, we just bless you tonight. We roll the red carpet out for you because you're worthy. In Jesus' name we pray, and everybody says amen.
Amen.
Amen and amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Right. Thank you again for this.
See you.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming.
Sorry I can't be with y'all. I got a grandson, got a football at 6 o'clock.
Before we get started, I asked Mr. Petrowski to start with planning and zoning. It's with every planning and zoning. If you're, we'll give the applicant an opportunity to come forward and explain his request. If you are here in opposition on this, you will also be given time to come forward. So, Mr. Petrowski, would you like to start us off?
Chairman, our only zoning item this evening is a request by Greenberry Moore. It's a request to rezone from C2 to M2 with a conditional use to allow an inert landfill. The Planning Commission heard this matter and has recommended approval of a conditional use in the C2 district of the inert landfill, subject to meeting the guidelines from the state of what constitutes an inert landfill. Then after the hearing, the Planning Commission mentioned to me that they forgot to mention that they wanted to include a gate across the driveway in this recommendation. So they just asked me to mention that to you, but it's not part of their official recommendation.
Okay. All right. Mr. Moore, would you, or has anybody got any questions right now for Mr. Petrowski before we ask Mr. Moore to come forward? Mr. Moore, you want to come up and say a few words? Well, a few?
Yeah. I basically want to fill in a hole. It's a big old hole at the corner of 18 and 49. P&Z did recommend it stays as C2, so it can't open it up to the many varied uses in the M2 district. And of course, the main thing is it's going to be subject to all the state guidelines. I'm not 100% sure I'm going to be able to afford it, but I'm going to try. It's a lot to do to safeguard surrounding property owners. It will basically be putting in there what came out of the earth: rock, gravel, tree stuff. That's about it. It says 7, give or take, acres. The whole track is 11 acres, and certainly won't be doing the whole track, maybe not even 7. I met with a guy out there this afternoon, and he was telling me the challenges I face. So probably even less than 7 acres would be plenty of buffer for the surrounding property owners.
Is there any questions for Mr. Moore?
So conditional C2 means that it's not really changing, we just, conditional use for the inert landfill.
Yes, sir.
And then once the hole's filled in and that's done, it just goes, the conditional use goes away.
Any more questions?
Have a motion to approve?
Well, let's get, is anybody here opposed tonight for this request?
There were 3 or 4 at the P&Z, and I think we kind of
Okay.
answered most everybody's concerns.
Sure. We just want to give everybody opportunity.
Sure.
Well, I don't see anybody opposed, so now, Commissioner Robinson,
Motion to approve.
we have a motion. We have a second?
Second.
Second. Any more discussion? If none, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Ayes have it. Thank you. 4-0. All right, we move forward to the consent agenda, approval for the minutes. We had a third Tuesday, January 15th of 19, executive session that same night, 15 and 19, and then we had a call meeting, 24th on 2019 at 8:30 a.m. Everybody had an opportunity to look at the minutes, and if so, I need a motion to approve.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
We have a motion. Do we have a second? Second. Any more discussion? If none, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. Thank you. We move to new business. Sheriff Davis, you have something for the state for Sheriff Reese. You want to come forward? And I'll let you do the introduction and the presentation.
Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Your Commissioner Kitchens has always invited me to come up here and see how a real commission is run, so. I understand y'all got some money up here in Jones County. We don't have any in Bibb.
Well, we tell him not to bring any bad habits from work with him.
Well, he brought me up here, so. All right, well, I'm here tonight on something good. I am here to recognize the Jones County Sheriff's Office for being recognized once again to receive state certification through the State of Georgia Law Enforcement Certification Program. The state certification program for Georgia was established in 1996, and over the years, the program has continuously worked to ensure participating agencies remain up to date with evolving legal standards, technology, and law enforcement practices. Today, the program standards are currently in their 6th edition. Participation in this program is not an easy process. In order to achieve this certification, the Jones County Sheriff's Office had to develop policies that complied with 139 standards. They had to ensure that all of their personnel understood these directives and were operating accordingly. There are approximately 650 law enforcement entities within the state of Georgia, and this Sheriff's Office is only 129 law enforcement agencies that meet these standards. And I might add that out of 159 sheriff's offices, there's only 22 sheriff's offices that are state certified. So this is a very, very worthy recognition. But once the agency decides that it has all the policies and practices in place, a team of independent assessors are sent to review all of the agency certification files that include required policies and documentation supporting compliance with each of these 139 standards. The team leader's final report is reviewed by two committees before final recommendation is made by the Joint Review Committee to grant the agency's certification. So on behalf of the Georgia Law Enforcement State Certification Program, we want to commend the leadership, deputies, and civilian employees of the Jones County Sheriff's Office who work diligently to maintain this exceptional standard of performance. And it also be noted for y'all's benefit that a tangible benefit of this is that you may see some reduction in your liability insurance premiums through the Georgia Municipal Association or through ACCG. So that if it's applicable, that is something that is a benefit for having this certification. So having said all of that, I want to hereby call Sheriff Reese up to present him officially with the plaque of certification. And on it, it reads, State of Georgia Law Enforcement Certification, Be it hereby known that the Jones County Sheriff's Office has fully demonstrated its commitment to law enforcement excellence by meeting all the applicable standards established in the state of Georgia for law enforcement certification program. Therefore, upon recommendation of the Joint Review Committee, this agency is hereby recognized as a certified law enforcement agency for the period of November 1st, 2018 through October 31st, 2021. And I understand this is their research from going all the way back to 2004. So they have achieved those standards and maintained those standards, and we're very proud of that. Now I have another presentation, and in our world, there's the people that's in charge and the folks that knows what's going on. And so this certification wouldn't be possible without the certification manager who oversees the program and is responsible for building and maintaining all of the files which show compliance with all of these 139 standards. And this person spends many hours ensuring that all the required documentation is up to date and in order and is successful for the on-site assessment. So in that regard, we want to present a plaque to Captain Jimmy Black for him being the certification manager and the certification of appreciation from the Georgia Association of Chiefs of Police for his hard work in making this a reality. So with that, thank you all very much. And I can go back across the river.
Sheriff Reese, I know Jimmy Black's got a speech, and I'm sure you do that.
I'll be brief, believe me. Sheriff Davis is short 100 deputies. We don't need him out here recruiting some other people. But I do want to thank all the people that we have at work. Sheriff's Department, the men and women do an excellent job. I'm very proud of every one of them. I'm also proud for the county that supports us and the county commissioners. That, we're all in this together, and we can't be left alone. There are tough times ahead. We've got to continue to be a little bit ahead of the game. But I do thank you, and I thank all of our employees for what they do every day and every night.
We definitely appreciate y'all.
Yes, sir. And with that, we've got something going on. We've got going on. Thank y'all so very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sheriff.
That's great. Very nice. With the board's approval tonight, Mr. George, I understand you got a basketball team waiting on you tonight. Do y'all mind if I bring new business number 4 up to 2 and let Mr. George get his basketball game?
I'm a coach tonight. Unfortunately.
Good
evening, commissioners. How are you?
Good, and you?
Got a little handout for you.
Thank you.
When I come before you, I'm a numbers man, so I like to give you a recap of what the tax assessor's office has been doing the last 6 months, 12 months, during the course of the year. Here you have the last 2.5 years of what we've been doing. 2017, real and personal property, increase of $29,729,256, which brought in $427,894.12 in new county revenue. Now, this is new county revenue that wasn't obtained in the past. Okay, 2018, $32,133,787, which brought in $462,533.73. We also got a check from the state for forest land protection, as you know, FLIPA. We get reimbursed for people who go into that program. They must have over 200 acres of timber. So we got a check for $250,000 last year, which I'm sure you liked and helped. We will continue to push people into that program who qualify because, as I said, the county gets reimbursed, not like conservation use where they don't get reimbursed. Okay? Now, 2019, this has exceeded my expectations. Right now, we're at $26,230,384, which accounts for $377,560 in new county revenue. That's amazing, because in Jones County, you don't have $6 million, $8 million, $10 million commercial buildings going up. And we've accomplished this by many different ways. One of the most important ways, we haven't valued people out of their homes. We haven't done that like some other counties have done, okay? We've done this by finding improvements that were on the books that were never valued. We found improvements in houses and properties that were undervalued, okay? And I'll tell you some more on the next page. Now, we haven't even gotten to personal property yet, because that won't be realized till later on in the year. We just sent out the reporting forms last month. So I'll have that number probably around in June for you. But that's going to probably be a positive number also. Okay? Now, 2018 public utility went up $5,496,767. That's amazing. That's really amazing. That's going to bring in another $79,120.46 in 2019. Okay? So far in 2019, which is very early for us, you know, we've already realized and going to realize $455,680 in new county revenue. That's amazing, because I remember, you know, someone once said when I first got here that it wouldn't happen again. Well, it's happened 3 years in a row now. So I'm very happy about that. The staff has been working very hard in getting that done. And, you know, there's a lot of, you know, 6,000 here, 10,000 here. So there are no big amounts that are amassing. I gave you a copy of the digest changes, so you see it's a real number. It's not a made-up number out of the air. Okay? So here are some of the major accomplishments and construction things that have been going on in the county. 86 new single-family homes have been built in 2018, where 4 were built. 4 years ago, there were only 8 built. So what that tells me, of course, is the residential market is back, okay? We find sales of residential homes exceeding what we have on our books, okay? So that means we have to go in and revalue some properties, which is good, which is very good. And construction is back. The new senior living complex we have on the books, but it will only be on the books for 70%. Because as of January 1, that's our date, it was 70% complete, okay? But that's a very good number. That's a $6 million value already, okay? The new Popeyes fast food is only 90% complete, and we put that on the books also, okay? We had a dramatic increase in personal property digest of 11 million last year. We also conducted an exempt property review. Now, unfortunately, this has never been done here. And because it's never been done doesn't mean it shouldn't be done. This year is our state digest review year, meaning the state could come in at any time and say, let me see all your exemption applications. And just like any other funded taxpayer program like conservation use and Flipper, an application has to be filed. Well, there were no applications on file. So I took it upon myself that we sent out notices, letters, so that we can get applications on file. So we know who's truly exempt and who's truly not exempt. And I've been in this business a long time, and I knew once I did that, there were going to be some properties that have been exempt in the past that probably shouldn't have been exempt. And yes, I found those too. So they're coming off this year. And they may have been on for several years, but they don't qualify. So we're going to send out letters and let those people know that you may have gotten it in the past, but they have to come off because they don't qualify. All right. This review should be done every 3 to 5 years, so that's what we're going to start doing from now on, every 3 to 5 years. I gave you some statistics here of sales. 16 to 17, 369 sales. 17 to 18, 453 sales. And 18 to 19, 511 sales. So that tells you the market is back. Okay. I'm going to give you my professional opinion that in the next 2 to 5 years, be ready. You're going to see an influx of commercial property owners come into the Jones County and want to build. Okay, and the reason is because obviously good school system, stable economic environment. Okay, and they don't have the problems that other counties have, maybe neighboring, as far as increasing millage rates. Okay, so I'm gonna tell you that they're going to be coming. And it's a good thing. It's a good thing because you need a mixture of residential and commercial base. Okay, so to my request, I'm here to replace 18-year-old SUV, which is in bad shape. I drove it myself personally. I will never drive that vehicle again because it's in bad shape. The suspension is really in terrible shape. And I put a little blurb here, $30,000 investment for this. You look at it over a 12-year period, it's only a $2,500 investment a year. But this vehicle will bring in $500,000 to $700,000 over the course of that 12-year period, as far as revenue is concerned. So based on that and based on the safety situations that is current, I think it's a sound investment. And if I didn't need it, I wouldn't ask for it.
Any questions for Mr. Jordan?
I think, Mr. George, didn't Charles Cook, he drove the vehicle, if I'm not mistaken, and he did make a recommendation that.
Yes, I wanted a second opinion and a third opinion, so I let the safety officer drive the vehicle to get his opinion on it, and I sent that to you in an email, his recommendation.
Mr. Kitchen, you got a question?
No, no question. I appreciate all these numbers, but, you know, just the fact that it was 18 years old, almost 300,000 miles, and the safety officer said it was danger. Well, you had me sold on that.
Well, I try to be thorough.
Anyone else?
Let's solve this problem. Move to purchase a new vehicle for the tax assessor's office.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any more discussion? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Ayes have it.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You twisted our arm. Don't play basketball now.
I am.
Somebody said you used to shoot a hoop or two.
I used to. That's why I can coach.
All right. Now, as we move back, we get back on the schedule. We're moving with our lighting agreement for the Great Bypass, SR 11 and Green Summit. Mr. Risner, I think you were going to take a stab at this one.
Yes,
We've
sir,
already
Mr.
been there
Chairman.
one time.
Right.
Something changed.
So if these look familiar to you, they're exactly the same things that you had before you about a year and a half ago. DOT sent these to us several months ago. We communicated back to them that we had, the board had approved these previously. They asked us if we had color copies we could send them. We did not have any color copies we could send them that just had the chairman's signature. And so they said that we would need to get those agreements reapproved. In talking with Margie, I think there was a resolution attached the last time. And because of that, felt like we probably ought to go ahead and have these approved by the board a second time. And these are for lights at two locations along the Great Bypass at State Route 11, which is basically where it comes back into 129 south of Gray, and at Grand Settlement Road.
Okay, before we ask for a motion, Ms. Chris Marr, I think you asked to.
No, that's about lighting.
Correct lighting. Oh, I'm sorry. I saw lighting. I should have read for it. I'm sorry. All right.
We did go back and talk about, these were LEDs.
I think they are.
They adjusted it last time, didn't they, before we?
Yeah, I remember having a lot of conversation back and forth about the pricing of the lights and how long they might last and what it would cost to replace them and all that. And I think we even got monthly cost estimates from them last time around. I can't remember what those were, but.
And, they're making us e-sign now. And I don't, now they want paper copies. I don't, like I said, we went through all the trouble of getting that e-sign to work, and now they want the other. So, I mean, whatever they need, we'll surely accommodate them. Well,
Yeah, it doesn't say in here. Chairman, if it's in order, I'd make a motion to approve it, pending that we have the most energy efficient fixtures there and maintenance efficient.
all right, I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second. Any more discussion?
Mr. Chairman, I'll oppose again for the same reasons in the past. I don't think the Jones County taxpayers should have to pay the power bill or the upkeep and replacement if this equipment is damaged. I think the state should. So for that reason, I'll oppose.
All right, so noted. Any more discussion? If none, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed.
Opposed? 3-2. Ready? All right, we'll go to 3 tonight. We got an award bid for the asphalt walkways in Morris Bank Highway 18 Recreation Complex. And we'll have Ms. Marr come up too, since it's on the rec
Yes, sir.
complex.
Good, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. Before I bring up Ms. Marr, I'm going to go ahead and let you know what we have here. We went out for bid for the interior walkways for Highway 18 ballpark. We did this one time before. We only got one bid, so we went back and rebid it. Got 4 bids this time around. We did a base bid and a couple alternates. After reviewing it and knowing what we have left in the 2009 SPLOST, which is what this would be paid for out of, our low bid is Concrete Contractors. I'll read off everyone else first. Piedmont Paving was $65,227.82. Warmac Paving was $57,975. Hooks Construction and Forestry was $60,264. Concrete Contractors $42,840 with $7,500 for the concrete turnouts. So my recommendation tonight is to go with Concrete Contractors at $42,840 and $7,500 for the concrete turnouts. And the reason we're not going to do the alternate bids at this time is because of the concerns that Chris Marr wants to come up and talk about with the advisory committee. If I can bring her up at this time before we go into a vote.
Absolutely.
Okay, thank y'all for letting me talk to you tonight. We met last week and the advisory board for the recreation department. And about 9 or 10 months ago, we had met and we came up with a list of priority items that we felt was really important for mostly just the safety of the complex. And we felt like the number one issue that we really had a problem with was the lighting in the old part of the recreation complex. It was the lighting for Chapman, Curtis, and McDaniel fields. They've been tested and they were below industry standards, which really puts us in a bad situation. I mean, if there's a child out there playing and those lights are below standards, this child gets injured, then the county's going to pay. They're going to pay a lot more than they would pay to replace these lights. And we've had it out to bid twice to replace these lights. The bids that we had gotten in the past were for the same type of lighting, but up to standard. I talked with Ms. Wade today, who was the only company that has placed a bid. Both times it was put out for bid. From talking with Matt and with Diane, I understand that there's very few companies that do this kind of work. So if anybody else were to turn in a bid, what they would do is put in a bid and go out and hire Diane to do the job. So, we've got one person that really does quality work. Now, she's working on a complex, and I believe she told me it was in Griffin, that she's doing the same thing with, which is upgrading the type of lighting that they have now, but still staying with the same type. And the job that she's working on now to replace all those bulbs, she needs 98 bulbs. And she's been working on trying to find the bulbs for a couple of weeks now, and so far she's found 24. Now, within the next 12 to 24 months, we're not going to be able to find those bulbs. So even if you got enough to redo this lighting now, you would never be able to replace them. So after talking with her today, I would like to meet with her out at the complex, and Matt and I meet with her, talk to her about the different possibilities of going into the LED lighting, and see if we can't get another bid in. And I realize that y'all have the protocol you have to go through, the process that you have to go through, and I realize that it's government and that it's a process. But if she's going to be the bottom line, if she's going to be the company that installs these lights, then we've already sent it out for bids twice. We should be able to accept, her bid, and I believe we can get a lower bid, or we can get a bid with better lighting. My suggestion is that we go ahead and go with the LED lighting, because it's going to take care of the problem from now on. Yes, I realize that there's only so much money to spend out of the SPOS for the recreation. But again, I just want to point out, like I did several years ago at the courthouse, I was walking around planning to have benches installed, and I went and I told Bart, I said, you've got a huge liability here. I said, these walls in some places is 8 to 10 foot off the ground. If somebody were to come and fall off of this wall, the county would be really in a lot of trouble. The same thing's going to happen at the recreation complex. If you have a child get seriously injured, and it can happen very easily, if they get injured at that complex and we have substandard lighting and it goes to court, trust me, you're not going to look good. You're not going to come out good, and it's going to be a lot more expensive than putting in a few LED lights. So basically, that's all I had to say. I hope that y'all will consider that. The recommendation of the Recreation Advisory Committee is to replace the substandard lighting. We also talked about putting 2 lights in the center parking lot between the 2 areas of the complex. And Matt is working with Tri-County EMC now, trying to pull together a plan to do that as well. So thank you for your time. I appreciate your ear, and I really hope that y'all will reevaluate the liability in this situation.
Before we go, any questions for Ms. Moss? No, thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
Man, I got a quick question. Is 18 the only one we've got lighting issues? Is 49 up to standard?
49 is, yes, sir. They have a newer style light fixture, which you can continue to get bulbs for.
All right.
The reason, again, I'm recommending base bid only for this particular bid package is as of today with our finance director, we have 180,000 and some change left in the 09 SPLOST. If we were to go with this full bid, we would really knock out the majority of what we have in 09 SPLOST, which would basically eliminate any options to do anything with the lights at 18. By going with the base bid here, what we can do is take care of the main drive going through the Morris Bank Sports Complex. John and his department has already done a phenomenal job with 2 of the walkways using chip seal, and it's holding up very well. The main drive would allow him over time to continue with that particular method, and that will save some money for us to continue to dig into the lighting issue and see where it goes from there.
Any questions for Mr. Goen?
Couple. I know we talked about putting outdoor basketball courts on 49, and I can't remember. I know it wasn't on their priority list, but out of the SPLOST dollars that was available, And maybe now with this other project, is that not going to happen?
Well, I'm hoping we don't have to use all whatever's remaining out of the 180, which would be 130 something, on the lights. So that would leave some there for the board to decide what to do with it.
And we currently have chip seal now that people are walking on?
On walking path, yes. The reason we need to do the main drive is for delivery trucks and other vehicles, heavy duty trucks that need to travel through the park from time to time. They would need to utilize that drive, and chip seal would fix it over time. If we could keep the trucks out for 2 or 3 years while that chip seal was able to build up. But if we try to just go through chip seal right now, it would just be destroyed when that Coke truck or that food truck or whatever other concessions delivery truck came. It would just crush it up because of the subgrade. Correct me if I'm wrong, please, John. Am I? Okay.
And then the other question I have, there was a press to get the lighting out at the park, and we've not run power to those nice LED lights, right?
Which?
Morris Bank lights?
No, they're powered up.
They're powered up now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, when did that happen?
Today.
That's good.
It's coming.
I was like,
You're on the ball today.
all right. I rest my case.
Any more questions? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
To set the,
I'm sorry about that, with concrete contractors for the 42,840 plus the 7,500 for concrete turnouts.
right, I have a motion. Do I have a second? Second. Any more discussion? If none, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed?
Opposed.
4-1.
So we're gonna give direction to start discussing the lighting options on that field.
Yes, we can do that.
I think that needs to go through Jason,
All right.
in my opinion.
Like I said, all right. Mr. Risner, I guess on behalf of the board, I'll get a motion to direct Mr. Risner to go forward with the lighting. Let's do it as a motion. Do it right.
He said, so moved, second.
Second. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed?
Opposed.
All right, 4-1 again.
And he's going to look into the options.
Right. All right.
And that would include, Chairman, if we're able to piggyback off of a previous bid, but if we change the scope of the work, we'll probably have to run bid again.
LED, do we have, we didn't have LED before, did we?
No.
That'd be a savings too of energy, I'm sure.
Just out of curiosity, Mr. Chairman, when you were at Parks and Rec, who did your lighting?
We had a couple of companies locally that do it.
Right, because I can't imagine she's the only person, and don't get me wrong, I like to stay at home as much as I can, but to only get one bid 2 times in a row concerns me, knowing that Bibb County has major Parks and Rec, Baldwin County, Warner Robins. I mean, so either we're not doing something right, and if we're not doing something right a third time, I think we just move ahead.
Can I give a little background to why that may be? So,
Sure, absolutely.
Diane is only bonded up to a certain dollar. So depending on the size of the project, she can't bid on it without going through a bonding company to get it. Therefore, it shoots her price way up. We did contact, Ms. Leslie contacted several companies that were recommended, and some of those companies received a bid packet. And when they saw who else was on there, a couple of them actually said, well, she's going to do my work, so there's no need for me to bid against. But again, that goes back to the reason Diane didn't get the 18 ballpark when it was built, because of the bond threw her out of price, where another company that is larger can afford the bond. So not saying that's 100% why, but
Right.
that is some background to it.
I got you. Perfect.
Thank you, Matt. All right, if we move on to old business, it's approval to commence the road abandonment process for Watson Drive. Who's handling that?
I'll take it.
All right. You know you're gonna get called on that.
Ready.
Right off the bat.
I know that we have some that probably want to be heard in the crowd before we discuss it, if you'd like to ask them to
Yes.
approach.
Anybody would like to come forward?
Yes, Layman Watson. I had already talked to y'all I have my son and daughter here tonight that are the parcel owners of this strip of property. I would like to go ahead and process it and go on through with it.
All right, any questions for Mr.
So
Lohman?
let me ask you, Mr. Watson, Junior, your son,
Yes,
is he here?
yes,
And he's in agreement with this request?
yes.
Thumbs up.
And then Rebecca Watson, who is that?
That's my daughter,
Okay, and.
Rebecca Frazier.
Okay.
Yes.
And are you in agreement with the request? And then, the last property owner that's connected to this would be Margaret Wells.
And what connection is she? I didn't know she has anything.
Our tax assessor site has her property listed as connecting, joining the very end of this road, I guess at the cul-de-sac.
That's news to me.
Okay.
Uh,
I know this is in your district,
I thought it was belonged to the railroad.
the end. It has it listed as Margaret Wells, 112 Wells Road.
Yeah, that should be the railroad.
That's something I'll have to look into, because it looks like that's where the road dead ends, doesn't it? We can view it on a different map. I guess here's the concerns that the board will need to address. The process for this would be, if the board so decided tonight that this road no longer served a substantial public purpose, such that they would like to proceed with the procedure that we have to go through for abandoning this road, there are several costs associated with that. First, we have to run an ad in the paper for 2 weeks, and there has to be a legal description that's the public notice that we publish.
Right.
Well, someone has to pay for that legal description, and so I'm not sure if the county, that's a question for the board, would want to pay a real estate attorney to come up with that description that would need to run as the public notice in the paper. Then there's a cost to run it in the paper for the 2 weeks that we're required by state code. There's that cost that someone has to pay. Once that is satisfied, then we would have to, I know that several property owners are here. We need to figure out if Ms. Wells, if her property connects with the cul-de-sac on this road. If so, we would need to send her notice as well.
Right.
But then the last step would be, once all of that is done, if the board determines that this road no longer serves a substantial public purpose and wishes to abandon the road, then there would need to be quitclaim deeds that are drafted, which again, the board or you all, someone's going to have to incur the expense of a real estate attorney drafting quitclaims that would pretty much run down the middle of this road and separate the property and give half to property owners. I know it's you and your family, but still half of the road would go to property owners on this side and the other half on this side. I understand that you own all the way down the area between the actual road and Light and Tie.
Right.
But there would be several quitclaim deeds that would need to be drafted. So there are going to be several expenses that someone has to incur for us to proceed with this request. So I think that's something
You missed
you all.
one. The survey, you have to have it surveyed also in order to have a plat done. Wouldn't you have to do a formal survey? Oh, yeah, sure, come forward, absolutely. I'm sure there has to be some formal survey so we can have
A real estate attorney may need the survey. What would actually need to be included in the public notice in the paper is the legal description.
Sure.
Now, to establish a legal description, a real estate attorney may tell you that there needs to be a survey. They may be able to do it without that. It's, that's something that we're going to have to figure out. But the legal description's needed for the public notice in the paper, and then the quitclaims are going to be needed, which utilize those legal descriptions. But the legal description is going to be a little bit different, because the legal descriptions at the end of this, if you all decide to abandon the road, will actually divide out that road and give, part to this parcel owner and part to this parcel owner. So there will be some cost.
Okay, my understanding, when my dad originally purchased the triangle square that's in between Light and Tie and Watson Drive, the land was already surveyed for that transaction, so there should be a recent one within 5 years on the books already identifying that survey plat. Also, it was identified in that survey that where the cul-de-sac ends, 70 yards of that, or 70 feet from the existing railroad, so that middle piece right there in between Wells Drive and the end of Watson Drive is owned by the quarry. That was leased by Mr. Wells to the quarry. So that's not even Wells' property there. That's owned by the quarry, the 70 acres, because it was given as an allotment for the train.
That's connected, that adjoins this cul-de-sac?
It's not even connected. There's a dead track that's there. There's a strip of land where the quarry or the railroad, the road originally went over, and then there's a second railroad that's there. And Wells land is on the other side of that. So that strip that's in the middle is railroad. And on the other side, 70 feet of the existing railroad towards the Wells Drive side is railroad.
And that's fine, but if any of the railroad property or Wells property, I mean, that's something, if any of that adjoins any land where this road is, they have to be notified of this request.
Right.
Because
I
they
understand
are an
about the
adjoining
Wells property
landowner.
now. I kind of got an idea what happened and that I did not know happened. So I got a pretty good idea what happened there.
And all I say is that if the board chooses to start the process, then we would just need to send out certified mail to place all property owners on notice of this request.
Right.
So if there is someone there at the end that's not here at the meeting, they need to be notified as well. So it's something we can look into. But I think the main issue is going to be the cost associated with the legal descriptions and the quitclaim deeds and the notice that has to be posted in the paper.
All right, let me ask you one question. If you vote on it and you vote positive on it, could I have like a leadway or a time frame to let me think about if I really want to go through all this process of changing all the deeds and going through all that stuff? Because it's going to be time consuming. It's probably going to end up being a hassle for us over with.
Should we table it and let him see how much we're talking about as far as money-wise and time-wise and hassle-wise, and then, you bring it back to us when you want to.
Well, and a vote tonight would not be a vote to abandon. That's sort of down the road.
Right,
The
I
vote
understand
tonight
what you're saying there, yes.
would be just to initiate steps.
Right.
The next step after that would to be run notice, public notice in the paper, but we would need the legal description identifying this road in order to do that.
Okay. Well, let me do what Mr. Kitchens here, just let's table it for another month. Let me kind of get my ducks in a row, see where we want to go with it.
Sure. In the meantime, is there any service that the county can do that we're not doing? I know I think John said I don't think y'all have done anything on that road since you've been there.
No, we just,
y'all do a very good job of keeping the road up.
Trimming some limbs up this past weekend. I do have one thing. If you could put me a dead end sign up at the end of that road, I'd appreciate it.
I don't think that's.
At the end where the cul-de-sac is.
Right, yeah.
Or even put
where
another
to go?
outlet sign.
Yeah.
Well, there's one when you first pull in, dead end.
Right. Well, on Watson Drive, when it dead ends at the old railroad, where the old wooden bridge used to be there?
Man, that's been so long ago.
He's not that old, ain't
Oh, God, okay. Me and Tommy are, I know that. I don't know how to tell you, other than on Watson Drive where it dead ends, there's already 2 4x4 posts up down there where a sign was a long time ago, but I have no idea where it went or anything. And
if they want us to put some hazard boards, you know what I'm talking about?
Mm-hmm.
Like when you get to the end of the road across.
Anything would be appreciative.
And I don't think that'd be a problem. And what I was saying, if we missed a boat about not maintaining that road, or we need to do something.
Well, they really didn't need anything, we pretty much took care of it. So
y'all done a great job. It's real nice and neat through there.
We have been doing the cleanup, just in terms of the signage that's rotted. and that's been rotted for several,
Sure.
past the 10 years that maintenance could have handled it.
Mhm.
The cutting of the grass in the area, they make it about a third of the way up the ditch, but they don't do the whole ditch. So just those little things are kind of
Sure.
need to be addressed.
Sure.
And if it's still your desire for this process, for us to, proceed with the
Right.
process, I'm not, that's for the board to
I
decide,
understand,
and I'm not
yeah.
saying they won't, but
This is a little bit more than what
there are some
gives
costs.
me something to think about what I want to do.
And check on expense because, I mean, I'm not a real estate attorney, but I deal with a lot of
I
real
can
estate.
imagine what it's gonna cost. I can
And,
got a
there's
good
gonna be
idea,
surveys
especially
involved.
get attorney and all in it,
And
yeah.
if you want to have whoever you speak with call my office, and just so I can let them know exactly what we would need done. It's very clear by statute that, I mean, we have to have that done to satisfy the requirements by statute. So I'd be more than happy to speak with whoever you all consult with.
Thank you.
Any other comments from the board?
I was just gonna ask, with the Dollar General scenario, the attorney that was working that, I know they assumed all their costs, but that's a much bigger operation. Again, I'm not familiar with who does what here locally, but that attorney, is he local?
He's not. He's
Okay.
out of Atlanta.
All right, all right.
I think he works with a group that does nothing but those developments. But
Right.
there are several real estate attorneys local that have any of them contact my office.
Sure.
All right.
All right, well, so we'll do it right, Ms. Kitchen, you got a motion to table?
Yes, sir.
We have a second?
Second.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chris.
Let us know, Ms. Lehman. We go on tonight, department heads. Mr. Lowe?
I don't have anything. I just appreciate y'all, everything y'all do. That's it.
He already knows he's coming up here next.
I do have one more thing, let y'all look at that, pass it around. What else coming around, I'll go ahead and go through these other ones. I want to let you know that we finished up all the fire stations, floor buffing and cleaning. Don, I hope we did a good job. We're getting ready to move into the courthouse, start the floors of the courthouse. So we are still moving forward with that process. I'm glad they came tonight. I do want to thank them. The other day, Jeffrey brought me a rubber tire loader and a backhoe to do some work at 49. John brought his water truck out to the golf course today to help us do some stuff. So just our department heads are phenomenal helping each other. So I want to thank them because, again, Parks and Recreation wouldn't be able to do a lot of stuff we do if it wasn't for other department heads. So glad y'all came tonight. Thank you. While that's going around, I don't know how far it's made it yet. Chris Marr, as you know, is our marketing lady for Parks and Recreation, and she has done a great job with that. What you see coming around is part of her fundraising efforts for our playground. We've had people from the community, your chairman being one of them. The families have donated generously to purchase this particular item. We have been through this process, 6 months, Chris, at least? Probably 6 months till we finally nail down which one we want. This is the last sensory panel to go at the special needs inclusive playground. So we want to get permission tonight or a consensus tonight. The money is already in the account. It's already been raised. It's already sitting there waiting to be utilized for this particular process item. So with your permission, I'd like to move forward purchasing this so we can get it in and get it installed.
This is the first sensory item? Or we got the other ones in?
We got the 3 benches, and this is the first one.
Right, sensory items have been the biggest challenge here.
You're right. Yes, sir.
All right. Any questions?
Benches look great too.
Yeah, they do.
looks
They're
good.
real great. Well, I entertain a motion.
So moved, Chairman.
We have a motion, we have a second.
Second.
Any more discussion? None, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, all in favor. Thank you, Ms. Golan. Mr. Pelkey?
Good evening.
Good evening.
I currently have 2 positions open at the water department, actually 2 equipment operator positions. And I had met with Jason. I would like to see if I can change one of the equipment operator positions to a maintenance tech. Once I fill the other equipment operator position, I would have 3. So I think that'd be sufficient. I need more help in the maintenance aspect. And looking at the pay scale, actually the pay scale for a maintenance tech is actually lower than an equipment operator, so it wouldn't adversely affect my budget. So I'm just asking for the board approval to change the job description from equipment operator to a maintenance tech.
All right. Anybody have any problem with that? Nope. We entertain a motion to allow him to go forward with this?
So moved, Chairman.
Second.
Second. Any more discussion? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. I just want to do a quick update on some of the emergency repairs that we've done at River North. The gravity line at Eagle Drive is complete. They did the site work and grassed it, and that's complete. The lift station at number 8, the discharge line is complete, and the exposed line at lift station number 1 is well underway, and they've got 2 manholes already set. So they ran into a little problem. They hit some rock, so they're going to have slowing them up a little bit. So
Not in River North.
no, not really. So, but that's really come along great. So, and happy to say that the Haddock water system is under SCADA control.
All right.
So
Thank you for the great
that's,
news.
it's all automated and it's working great. So
Thank
I
you.
appreciate it. Thank you.
Hey, two quick things. I've got a call into Mr. Red. He's supposed to be getting in touch with me this week. I did talk with him and show him that, a win-win situation and cooperating with us would be beneficial for him.
Good.
Also, I'm hoping he'll see it that way. I don't know, but, I had 3 calls this week on landlords that said apparently do we have a landlord agreement in place?
Yes, that's something we're going to have to. What we normally do for a landlord, if they wanted to go in and clean a unit, we would allow them to go ahead and turn the water on for a period of time, and then that'll be it. But that's something that we'll probably have to come to approach you, because we were getting a lot of calls on that, and we normally don't do that. But I mean, if the board decides to do that, but
I just know with me, I can pick up the phone and make a bid with as many properties I keep. Driving back and forth every day to do this with you pick up the phone, you set up, your services over the phone, and I think they're saying right now we can't do it with Jones
yeah, we've
County.
never
Will
really
probably be
done that.
future.
It was more just if they needed to go in and do minor repairs or cleaning a unit, we go ahead and let them do that. But we'll approach you on that. And
Jim, I just want to say thank you to Jeffrey and his crews. Last night had a water main break on Stagecoach, and which affected some people pretty close to my house. And so I got a phone call that, asking if we were having problems. I called Jeffrey. He says, yeah, we got a water main break. Most of the water's down. We're working on it now. We almost got it up. So I flipped my faucet on. I got plenty of water. And I'm like, all right, it doesn't affect me. About 15 minutes later, I walked in the kitchen and flipped this faucet on. There was no water. And so I told my wife, I said, well, I was going to wash.
you shouldn't have called me.
We got no water. 10 minutes later, we got water, and she said,
Get on those dishes. Get on those dishes. Get on those dishes.
So less than an hour's time, a huge water main break, and they had it up and running. The guys jumped on it. This was 8 o'clock at night.
yeah, it was.
So as soon as people knew it, we were having it back up. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Graham?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Matt, for your guys. You've done a wonderful job in a timely manner too. Thank you. The Georgia Emergency Management Agency and Homeland Security is designated this week as Severe Weather Preparedness Week, February 4th through the 8th. We went through Monday and today. Monday was family preparedness, is just getting together with your families and preparing. Even if it's just sitting down and talking to your family and talking it out, what you're going to do if this occurs or yada yada. Tuesday, today was thunderstorm safety. I've been running on Facebook different things from Ready Georgia that gives you good tips on each of these days. Tomorrow is probably going to be our biggest day, which we are involving all our schools in the county at 9 a.m. in the morning. So don't freak out 9 o'clock in the morning. We're going to be blowing the sirens, and the schools will be reacting and practicing their hideaways. So that'll occur in the morning. Thursday is lightning safety. Practice the rule of thumb of the 30-30 rule. And then Friday we'll end with the flood safety. So each day, if you know our site on Facebook, Jones EMA. We give good tips every day this week, like we do any other week. So, but this week is a little bit more special. A few weeks ago, we graduated 11 new emergency medical responders. I just want to let you guys know that 5 of those out of the 11th came from the high school. I started a program with the high school. If they've got good grades, a B or above, actually I'll take a C and above, but we try to get the B of aboves. We're putting these kids that are interested in medicine and see if they want to help us out a little bit. You know, you don't never know. It may turn out to be a doctor or a nurse or something like that later on down the road. But we graduated 5 out of this last class out of 11. Well, I submitted another grant, wrote another grant, and received another grant for another class in fall that will take up to 25. So I've spoken to the high school, and they're on board, and we're going to try to get another handful to go through the class. Maybe we can pick up 1 or 2 to help us a little bit as volunteers. But that's all I've got tonight. I appreciate it. It's just good to be back and talking and walking and whatever else I do. It's been very busy. Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Mr. Resner, you've done a lot of talking tonight, starting with the work session.
I have. Just a few quick things I'll share. I did enjoy the work session earlier. We had a good discussion there about broadband and an exciting project that we're working on there, and we'll have something for the board to consider in the coming weeks, just a resolution of support on that project. And so certainly much more to come on that. I wanted to mention a couple things related to the Sun Valley sewer project. Mr. Harris is here. We were talking some before the meeting. 2 things we've got going there. One that's caused some consternation internally is getting power to the lift station. When the original cost estimates were put together for this project several years back, the original cost estimate to get power there was $20,000. When Georgia Power was approached several months ago, they said it's going to cost between $140,000 and $160,000 to get power to the lift station. And so we pushed back against that some, and they said, well, we'll revisit the numbers. And they came back and said it'll be $41,000, but it may be 2 to 3 months before we can get power there. And so we're still trying our best to engage in a dialogue with them to get some relief, 1 on the price, and 2 on the install date there. So that's got us. There's still work ongoing there, but at some point that's going to be a major hurdle for us. The second thing I was going to mention there is we're working on a letter to go out to all the residents in the project area, letting them know that some of them will be on grinder pumps, that others will be connected through gravity. The sewer taps, the tap fees have been waived, and that the water department will be contacting them shortly to coordinate the install of their tap and or grinder pump. And so those will be going out soon. So just wanted to give a quick update on that. Schneider Electric, we've got the RFP for financing going in the paper tomorrow. Those financing proposals will be back in 2 weeks, and should have both that and the contract ready for your consideration at the first meeting in March. The TE project is complete except for the lights in Haddock, and it looks like I think the lights will be arriving March 6th and installed March 9th was the last update we had there. So hopefully that'll play out and that'll get us wrapped up there. We have had some calls from residents, and y'all may have heard some of this, about ruts kind of between the pavement and the sidewalk. There's a small grass strip there, particularly going out past the library towards the high school. and did get clarification today. That's still the responsibility of the contractor. So they'll have to come in and dress those areas back up and fix that before we accept the project. So we'll be talking with them about that. And then the last thing, I might have mentioned this last time, but the library is moving right along, and the good weather certainly helps. Hopefully in March we'll be moving back into that facility. So it looks really nice.
Quick question on the original $20,000 bid. Was that the price we got from Georgia Power on the original Sun Valley?
I think it was. I'd have to clarify that, confirm that with Tim, but that's my understanding is that they got an original estimate from them of 20,000. Now at one point during these conversations, they told Tim that their costs had gone up, but he said it hasn't. Their costs haven't doubled. So
I'm gonna make a call tomorrow because they kind of owe us a favor. They needed to desperately a line to come through the front of this government center and said if we ever need anything, holler. They just keep. It might be time to make that phone call.
Yeah. Time to holler. That's right. It's time to holler.
Time to holler. Might be some holler time. Maybe save us $20,000.
Yeah.
So as a backup, if timing is still an issue, is an alternative the backup generator, or are we looking at another option?
We were talking about that earlier, and I'm gonna check on that. I'm not sure, but I'll certainly.
Sure. Well, when you holler about money, holler about time too.
Okay. I mean, it don't hurt to ask. Right. Is that it, Ms. Redden?
Yes, sir. That's it.
You got anything?
I do.
All right. I was wondering, you kind of look at me, but I hope you give me an opportunity to go ahead.
Gentlemen, you all saw from this evening, I've been here a month and we've had 2 road abandonment or right-of-way issues come before you guys. And we need a procedure in place so that the citizens understand what's expected of them, what they have to provide us, if they're making this request, for you all to be able to consider that and move forward or not on that. And so I came up with, there's 3 of those, an application. I just want it to be something that you all take home when you have nothing else to do and take a look at it and give me your thoughts.
Sure.
I will tell you that I included a $50 application fee that would cover the legal description, the public notice being run in the paper. We've got to do that for 2 weeks, but I was going to get with the news and make sure that that was pretty standard. If we need to change that up or down, we can do that. But so when you see the $50 fee, that may need to be changed to cover that cost. But it details for the applicant that they are to provide us with what we need, the legal description, that they're going to be responsible for the quitclaim deed if the board so approves their request for abandonment, so that we have a procedure in place that everyone sort of knows what they need to provide us and the steps that we'll need to go through. So just take a look at it and give me your thoughts.
All right.
Quick question. Does ACCG provide any guidance on road abandonment or any local municipalities?
ACCG, myself and ACCG website are pretty tight at this point. The ACCG really doesn't go into much detail because the statute's very clear about road abandonment, about the procedure, and what we would have to provide, what we would have to do. And so my answer to your question is no, it's not really something ACCG would get involved with because the state law on it's very clear about the procedure.
Very good. Thank you.
All right.
And I did send this to another county attorney I know and just said, what's your thoughts? And he thought it was pretty spot on as far as what needed to take place. I know there's applications such as this in a lot of places, and so it's just something to sort of give everyone some instructions on what needs to be done. So just take a look at it and let me know your thoughts if y'all want to implement that.
All right. Anything else?
That's all.
Thank you. Mr. Harris, you wanted to?
Yes,
I know you had called up here earlier. Ms. Falk said you had called, and we got citizens' comments. I was going to go ahead and recognize you since we were talking about Sun Valley. Come forward.
Okay, this won't take but a minute. This project was supposed to have been completed back in November, and we're running way behind schedule, almost for 2 months. There was no one working in that area. I came today because I've been trying to get in touch with Jason and Tim, but no one had gotten back with me. There was a couple of things. We're going back, reinventing the wheel as far as asking people, do they want to be connected to this sewer system? The primary reason for this system was because of a health hazard for the neighborhood. I've got some pictures here. You can just pass those around. This was the last rainstorm that we had, and this is a consistent problem, and we really need to get something done about that. The other thing was the delay because of power. I was telling Jason, why don't we get a portable generator to test the pump so that we won't continue to have these delays, and hopefully we can go ahead and get a project completed.
That's 3-phase, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
It is.
And I will share this. I've watched the emails kind of go back and forth, and there's not been a sort of rapid response. I assume they were doing research. That's why I didn't chime in. Normally I do. But I did go out there that day after the pictures came out and verified that in a lot of those ditches that are in the county right of way, you have sewage. So I'm not so sure how fast we need to move, but I know we need to move fast. Because it's becoming a bigger issue. And this wasn't after a major rain. This was shortly after he sent the email, and I think it was only maybe 2 days worth of rain. So it's happening.
Well, it's just an overwhelming stench on a warm day, not just what you're seeing in the sewer safe.
Any question from Mr. Harris? Comment?
Just try to speed it up as quick as possible to try to resolve it.
I know in the meantime, like I said, I spent $7,000 in 2018 to have one of those houses system completely redone. It's expense you don't have to spend, but it's expense that you have to incur as a property owner, times. And I mean, as bad as it is, it has to take place. And in order for somebody to maintain, stay in this home, we had to spend the money to do it. As I see them putting the sewer line in there, one of our trust houses was sitting down there having to spend $7,000 to have one repaired. I feel the need for it. We've had a lot of rain. There was some months that were missed, but
that truck that you see that's at one of the neighbor's house, he has 4 kids, and everything backed up into the house. You don't see it all on the road, but it backs up into the houses down there. I appreciate everything you guys are doing. Hopefully we can get this done.
We're
real
trying.
soon. Thank
Bear
you.
with it. Anyone else tonight? Citizen comment? Anyone? Kitchen, you want to start tonight on the commissioner comment?
Congratulations to the sheriff's department getting recertified by the state again, which is something that's awesome that we know about. Can't say thank you enough to them. To me, it's such a blessing to live in a county where, like Brother Henson said, as much as we see bad things going on around us, it's nice to feel safe in your home, in your community. We've got it a lot better than a lot of other people, and just thank our sheriff's department and our first responders and all those guys for giving us that comfort. So thank y'all.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. I want to thank the department heads for everything they do. I was in Hatter last night, as a matter of fact. I mean, the place really looks good for all the hard work you guys are doing there. I want to thank the board for their support that we are going to get an intern through ACCG. Right now, we have a culture of safety, so I'm hoping we can incorporate a culture of wellness here in the county. And I have a great announcement. I've been, along with Ms. Tyson and Will, we're going to open a telemedicine center at the health department. We work with the health department and the VA, and this will be one of the first one in the middle of Georgia, if not the entire state. And what it's going to do is provide connectivity for our veterans so that they do not have to go to Macon, Milledgeville, or Dublin so often for doctor's visits. They'll be able to set up an appointment at the health department and go to a computer screen, talk to a provider that's in Dublin to give them the advice that they need healthcare wise so that they can just simply go to the pharmacist to get the pharmacy, and as well as if they need any additional help, there's a nurse that's there at the health department that can give them the assistance that they need. It's sad that some of our veterans are not getting the health care that they need due to transportation and connectivity because they don't have transportation to Macon, Millersville, especially not to Dublin. But with this program, hope within the next 45 days, it'll be open. We're going to have a big grand opening, an open house, and invite the veterans to come to see it. And what I want to do now is ask the citizens that if you have a veteran and some pictures or artifacts you want to put in the room, to please give it to Sherry Bryant. She's at the health department. They're going to decorate the room so it's going to be very welcoming, very open to the veterans so they feel comfortable going in, and there will be an orientation for them because some of the veterans may not feel comfortable, get on the computer. So there will be staff there to help them get onto the computer, get their appointment scheduled, and get them the health care that they need without leaving Jones County. So I'm very proud of that, and look out for more information to come over the next 45 days.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Commissioner Robinson?
I think that is wonderful.
Yes, sir.
For the veterans of Jones County. I've had friends that tried to use the VA, and it was awful. I'm sure it's not that way with every last individual, but I think with most of them, it's pretty bad. And I'd like to say it's good to see the department heads and working together so well, watching each other's back and helping each other out. And they've always done this. It's not just happening now. And Don mentioned severe weather week. And he mentioned that Thursday is lightning preparedness. And I don't know if everybody knows it, but Matt surely knows it. At both of our recreation complexes, we have lightning detection systems. That these systems, it doesn't wait for lightning to strike. It lets you know when the atmosphere is good for lightning strikes. So this is a very big deal for the complexes and for all the children and parents that participate there. And Matt does a great job of keeping the systems taken care of and inspected and upgraded like they should be. And I just wanted people to know that for the safety of everyone at the complexes. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Commissioner Martin?
Yeah. Again, echo what everyone else says. Our department heads do a really good job working together. It makes a difference across the county. Sets a standard for morale and collective participation to move the county forward. Our sheriff, of course, does a good job. He sets the bar high, I think, for other law enforcement agencies, and even in the county. And I would challenge this and say, if he's out there doing credentialing to make us safer and to also help reduce our insurance costs, we need to look at each organization as well internally. Fire safety do the same. I don't know what all the credentialing organizations are, but as we expand our services and look to be high efficient operating organizations, let's do that. Let's look internally because any of those savings that we can pass on to citizens, we ought to do that. Right down to the medical responders. I'm impressed that we're bringing on youth, and it isn't, they can't work here because we have a liability issue or they can't participate. But let's make sure, again, we have the right relationships. Who's ever writing our medical procedures and processes, let's get them involved with that process as well, and have the kids participate so they understand when some of us folks go home, the importance of doing that and passing on the torch. I am curious about the financial proposals that are going out, and I hope our local banks are really getting a good look. Again, I expressed my disdain with the last scenario. We have some great partners. Morris Bank is definitely a partner. They need to make sure that they're part of the proposal process. State Bank is now Cadence officially. We've all gotten our packets. I don't know what that means other than it's a Texas bank in Jones County. That's never happened before to my knowledge, but everything is bigger in Texas. I'm a Cowboys fan. I can't say that I'm going to enjoy that experience because I think it'll be a little different. So locally, and I'd like us to look at potentially rebidding our county contract with regard to our financial institution. I really believe we ought to do local preference, whether it's lighting, but definitely local preference when it comes to our banks. Because we know we went through a crisis here, and we had a local bank that did a lot of good work for us. Generator, hopefully that becomes a non-issue, but if it is, at least start to look at what that cost is, so we're not waiting too much down the road. I just went back through my phone. The feces I found was on Neptune Way, so you were on Sun Valley. Right. Right. I was on Neptune coming back around. So it's serious. I mean, I wouldn't want feces in my neighborhood. We deal with water issues in other people's environment, so let us be prudent and getting this resolved. And again, I do thank Jeffrey, because he does get out there as quickly as he can, and he gets a bad rap. I've gotten a number of phone calls. They complained about him, but he's stretched everywhere, and he still doesn't have a number 2, right? Still doesn't have a number 2. So is that a third open position, or we're not filling that position?
Well, I don't know. I got Donnie Hammock, which is kind of supervisor over maintenance, but you can consider my number 2, I guess. But I just have the 2 operator.
And just so I'm clear, are you the only one with the credentials for water and waste in the county?
Right now.
All right. So just bringing that to your attention. Keep up the good work.
Thank you. Ms. Falk, we want to thank you for filling in tonight. You did a great job. First time, like I said, you did good. Thank you. Mr. Pitts?
Mr. Chairman, make the motion to adjourn.
Second. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Thank y'all.
Good deal.